want you to just know what to do when a kid has to go poop. We also want you to know what to do when there's an emergency, right? So we want you to think about this and really put yourself in every single situation. And we're going to try to, this is an activity that really kind of is important to stay on the time, and we'll, if you're going way over, Katie's going to hold up a little sign that says that you have like, put it up on there and say 1 more minute. So if you notice that, just make sure that you guys are kind of wrapping it up, or if you need to like say, and then we would do this and this and this to get through it, that's okay. But if everybody goes way over, we're never going to eat lunch. So,
Karen,
yes.
I think because we're short enough, we might take a second and have the panelists introduce themselves.
Okay. Yeah, and so again, the panel is basically, they're kind of the stakeholders in our community. So they may have a different perspective than you do. And it's sort of the people, like for me, it's like all I'm managing all of camp from your perspective, but I'm also managing the permits and the outside of what you guys see sometimes. So yeah, let's start by introducing.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Busy Pants, and this is my youngest. Actually, this is my newborn. So this used to be my youngest, but now this is my youngest, and I'm very, very busy. But I have my oldest kid, the fourth one, is in Thorne summer camp and is going to be coming to your camps. So I'm really excited to see what you have to show me today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. I'm a nature conqueror kid. I already stole my teacher's hat because I'm going to be a teacher for the Thorne someday, and I've got flowers that I picked from open space, and I want to climb trees really bad.
Hi, I'm the shy nature kid. This is kind of my first time being outdoors, so bugs kind of scare me. But I have a net. I'll try to catch them.
I'm the lead ranger for Boulder Open Space and Mountain Parks. We manage about 5 million people a year on our property.
I am the one. I speak for the trees. And a lot of fun.
Hello, I'm your very serious field coordinator. I'm going to be watching every single one of you, making sure you're adhering to our policies. Thank you.
And I'm on the panel as well. I'm your education director, and I want this all to work. I want every kid to be happy. I want you to follow the rules. I want parents to love that their kid has such a good time that they keep bringing their kids to camp. That's really my personal. I'm going to hand out a list of all of the scenarios so that you have them to look at, okay? So again, I want to stress that the point of this is so that you know how to think through one of these situations when you're in it.
not OSMP, so we can just pick a couple flowers to press flowers. So let's go ahead, just get, just a couple, pick the best ones.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Erica, we're from Parks and Rec. I see you're picking some flowers there.
Yeah, we're gonna press them in some books.
That sounds like a really neat activity, but you're actually not allowed to pick flowers here.
Well, I'm a little perplexed, because according to page 200, my board book, it says foraging. Collecting plants or other items like rocks is prohibited in Boulder OSMP and county parks, but is okay in small amounts for educational purposes, in Boulder Parks and Rec.
Well, if you turn to page 251, there's your Parks and Recreation permit. And if you'll go down to section 6 in your permit, it says destruction, damage, or removal of any vegetation, flora, and fauna defacing the park property, blah, blah, blah. Putting flower petals is prohibited. Sorry, guys.
So you guys, what we can do, we're gonna, have you ever heard of the school game? So we're confused on that one. So, day two. Okay guys, so welcome, this is called Chautauqua. And today we're gonna build fairy houses. And because of some situation yesterday, I brought some flowers for our fairy houses. So go ahead, let's start to build them.
I'm gonna go.
Oh wait, you're off trail and you're picking branches off that poor tree in Chautauqua? Okay. So we're in OSMP. We can build some fairy houses, but we want all our pieces to be dead and down. And we brought in our own, as far as collecting little leaves or twigs or whatnot, it needs to be dead and down. We can't pick anything off the tree. And it's not really cool to go off trail in Chautauqua, and if so, we kind of want to be discreet. So, those are the rules. So go ahead and build your fairy houses, and then make sure to deconstruct them at the end, and make it look like we've never been here before. Conceptual, they're ethereal. Don't worry about it. Okay, so day 3. Hey guys, now we're at Sanitas. This is my favorite park, and we're gonna paint rocks. Again, I went through my backyard. I brought you in a bunch of different rocks.
We can't pick our own.
No, we can't pick our own rocks because, definitely we can't pick our own rocks because we're in OSMP and yeah. So here are your rocks. Here's some paint, and we're gonna stay on trail except the ditch. If we get hot, maybe we'll play by the water a little bit after we paint our rocks. Hey, what are you doing, Sally?
I'm painting rocks.
Oh,
I painted mine, and then there was lots down here too.
Oh.
I'm on the trail.
So you're almost they're not in jail.
When the land manager was there, I was just running around collecting more rocks.
I'm really worried about the fairies. Where are they gonna live?
I really enjoyed seeing the vision following. That's a lot of people, and our mission is to protect the natural resources in our area. So I'm really impressed with Thorne Camp for doing that. I also want to mention that shelter building has some new regulations this year. Aaron and I will be collecting the shelter building materials at the Tasso and Hale Ranch, and one demonstration shelter will be built for the entire group this year. We've had some issues with the shelters not being dispersed really well last year. We want to avoid that because it definitely was not user-friendly.
That was a really fun scenario to watch for the Lorax. But I would have really liked to see those kids connecting with those rocks around them before that amazing teacher Kate took some out of her back pocket for them to paint.
I think that you did fantastic at knowing the policies and referring to your binder. And I also thought when there was conflict among the different parties involved, you dealt with that really well.
I put in both of those documents, so sorry. I'm really happy that you taught me something today. So yeah, there are, I would say in general, you want to be practicing leave no trace principles. I think, like we've heard, it's important for kids not to feel like they can go out to nature and collect as much as they want. We also know that foraging is a great way for kids to connect to nature. And there are a couple of places that you can do that in small amounts. And Littleton is basically, there's not as many rules. It's really awesome that way. You can go into the ponds, you can kind of collect things, they bring things back to the center. I mean, I still think that the point is to teach kids to leave no trace. And with St. Vrain State Park, I specifically had a conversation around that in small amounts they were okay with it. And with Parks and Rec, I guess I'm a little bit, I feel a little embarrassed by that one. I heard from Open Space and Mountain Parks that if we wanted to collect like a leaf or two, and I would say not like go into flower beds where they have all those decorative flowers and pulling them, that they said if you're gonna do that, you should do it on Parks and Rec. But clearly, so Parks and Rec rules say.
And we can talk to them more, but just Parks and Rec and OSMP are having these conversations themselves and trying to figure out how to do this.
Okay. See, it's not just my.
Yeah, no, it's a really big conversation in Boulder right now, and I would say it'd be worth checking in. I mean, it'll come up in June at the symposium.
Yeah.
We're doing a symposium on nature play where this will hopefully be discussed.
And you're doing a whole leave no trace one, right?
Potentially. Yeah, so if I hear any better answers, I'll bring them back to you guys. But
I would say err on the side of being conservative with it, and know that the point is that we're trying to teach, we're trying to connect kids to nature, but I think you can do that by bringing in rocks and bringing in plants and bringing in flowers if needed. Yes.
How do you feel about asking the students to do it like in their own backyard? Like if it was like, hey, we can't do it here, but if you want to go home and maybe find a rock in your backyard and then tomorrow bring it in and we'll paint it, is that something that is okay? And then we still provide some extra for students who don't have that?
Yeah, I would say definitely
available.
provide extra.
Okay.
And probably, I would, if it were me, I would bring 12 rocks.
Yeah.
Because kids don't remember that kind of thing necessarily. But if they wanted to, that would be really special for them to be able to go experience that. Yeah. Thanks, you guys. That was awesome.
So time check, we'll just try to do like 5 to 7 minute skits.
Yeah, thank you. The next is the
All place in
wild place.
Mustaches.
Woo!
supervision activity. Explain or show us how it will work. How structured or unstructured will you allow to be? After the kids have been exploring for a bit, a group of boys, sort of boy and girl, start picking up rocks and throwing them in the water. How do you address this activity?
All right. Open the scene on a hot, steamy summer July day in Boulder. It's about 95 degrees. And Drew is about to take his group of campers on a wetland journey. And
what time is it?
game time! Go! And see, in this next part, Drew will engage in a creative, engaging, team-building activity to highlight for the students a wetland ecosystem through a food web with a ball of yarn, in which the students pass the ball of yarn around to create a food web, talking about the different animals and macroinvertebrates that live in the wetland ecosystem. They are having much fun. Laugh, laugh. And see.
Right. Perfect. Good job on that exercise. What we have here is we're going to take what we learned from that food web, and we're going to walk. We have a pond right here. We're going to get to explore what we found in that food web. You guys are going to notice if you've seen anything to take from the food web, and see if you notice it in the pond. All right. Couple of expectations for you guys though is as you are getting close to the pond, remember, do not go above your thigh in depth. All right. Also, no throwing rocks. Okay. Last but not least, you need to stay within earshot and eyesight of me. Sound good? Cool. All right.
Wait, can we take our shoes off?
You
I want to take my shoes
cannot
off.
take your shoes off. You need to keep your shoes on the entire time. If you do not have shoes that are waterproof, I would recommend don't go in the water. Stay a foot away from the shore. You'll be good. You'll be safe. You'll have fun. All right?
I know how to come back.
Cool. Also, once we start our activity, you guys might be roaming around. If I yell out, to infinity.
And beyond!
Perfect. You guys got it. When you hear that, you're going to come back and we're going to gather together. Sound good? All right. I have hula hoops here. You're going to take one. Find a partner. You're going to take that hula hoop to the pond and you are going to search a little area for macroinvertebrates. All right? Look for where you might find some of the bugs we found, or macroinvertebrates that we found on our food web. Go on ahead. Be safe. Remember what I mentioned to you guys.
Well, the campers are having so much fun laughing and becoming friends and loving camp. They also remember the rules of wearing shoes, not going above thigh deep, and being safe in general. And in about 15 minutes after doing this great, somewhat unstructured activity of free exploration, some students begin to throw rocks. Let's see what happens.
Hey, Manny, you can take a throw?
No.
All right, come on over. We can have a quick chat. First and foremost, I didn't want to turn to page 27 to fill out an incident report. Also, I do not want to have to contact my field coordinator in case one of you gets nailed in the head or another body part. So, with that said, what I mentioned earlier was, do we throw rocks? We do not. A couple other partners, come on over here. Now, did I ask not to throw rocks? I did. So, keep that in mind. I'll give you a second chance here. Go on ahead. Search for your macroinvertebrates and let me know it's fine. All right? Perfect. Let's break.
I'm improvising right now. So, as you can see, in this scene, our instructor was very kind in telling the students why we don't throw rocks, which is because it could disrupt the ecosystem and also cause injury to one of the other campers. So, now everyone is having fun and following the rules. Yay! I'm sorry, whoever has to go next. That was pretty much awesome.
But don't worry, you got it covered.
Okay, I know our costume, our budget was low, but I really think the acting stuff.
at summer camp. Can't have things like that happening. If I was teaching it, and you know I did used to be a teacher on the weekends when I was volunteering, but if I was the teacher, I might do something like, hey children, we can try this, and throwing rocks is important to not have anyone be hurt. And so we can throw rocks if we all like get in the line at this side of the creek and everyone goes 1, 2, 3, go! And we all throw a rock at the same time. I don't think anyone would get hurt from something like that. And I think if we're aiming in the water, that throwing rocks is one of the best things to do in the world as a kid. At least when I was a kid, which was not very long ago actually. And if I was doing this, I would probably think about how I could let kids throw rocks without them getting hurt. Because what is it? Is that really a problem? We'll see what our other staff has to say.
I had so much fun today. I got wrenched from head to toe, and I threw a couple rocks before I got in trouble. I wonder why I'm not allowed to throw rocks.
I didn't know so many things were in the water. It was so cool to see. And I kind of discovered on the slide when the teacher wasn't looking, and we're really good at skipping rocks. And I stand away from everyone else and throw it.
I was really happy to see the Thorne instructor being so aware of where all the students were and what they were doing and what was happening in their area.
I always have to say elementary stuff. But Laura, I just thought that seemed really fun and engaging. The students were really connecting with nature. But I did wonder if we want to make kids that care a whole awful lot, then maybe we should help them to skip rocks in a safe way. Like having them all stand along the edge, make sure they're not longer than a finger's length, all throwing them or skipping them where there's nobody in front of them. The same goes for picking up big sticks. They could pick up sticks if they're detached and down on the ground. As long as they're a big stick, they're always touching the ground so that nobody gets their eyes poked out or hit with rocks. If it becomes a problem, then I would tell them, okay, we had this expectation, but now we're going to change it because it got unsafe.
Well, that was great. The instructors really set the expectation, and campers were safe and followed the rules.
So I know that some people are confused about this. In the past, we've had a rule around not throwing rocks and not picking up sticks. And since then, we've spent a lot of time at Thorne in the last year actually talking about wild nature play and how having this unstructured time as much as you can as a child, that is what creates stewardship. So we are rethinking what we can. And I think as an organization, what we're moving towards is more of a wild nature play part of our instruction, but within the limits of where we go with like land management. We're not going to go off trail in Chautauqua just because that's actually the way that kids learn best, because we can't. We're going to lose our permit. But this is one area that we think that we're going to test it out this summer for the first time. Picking up rocks, and if you have it really organized in a way that you say this is the expectation around rock throwing, and making sure it's safe, and if anyone is not safe, then you're going to take that away from them. I think it's something that is worth trying as part of, I have a 2.5-year-old child, and every single time he goes outside, he picks up a rock and a stick, and that's how he is outdoors. And I think you see kids like that, and so making that a blanket rule, I think is going against this wild nature play. So we're gonna test it out this year. What I would say is give boundaries, stick to them, be consistent, and let me know if something happens. 2 years ago we had a girl cut her eye with a stick. They were sword fighting, which is not okay. I think picking up a stick, keeping it down on the ground, that can be okay. If you have any questions around this, because it is a little bit ambiguous, you can let me know. But basically, Carrie's gonna and Mike will also kind of help you guys understand how this will work.
But the water is still to the thighs.
Water's still to the
And
thighs.
the tree climbing.
Tree climbing is still off limits, I would
And
say.
I've had some success with kids
climbing trees and taking off shirts, even though we know in some ways that's the best way to connect them to nature, we also need to be, know how to keep kids safe in this situation. We see 2,000 kids this summer. So, does anybody have any questions on that?
Okay, so no climbing trees. What about boulders?
Boulders?
Yeah.
I think you can climb on boulders.
Not as long as they're like taller than the kid. The kid's height or below. Oh, well, that's not a boulder, then that's a rock. I'm referring to like the big ones where they, you know, like
Like at rocks or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like not something that would be considered like bouldering.
Of
You
course
know,
not.
Like in
Yeah.
that category.
But
Like
if
if
they
it's a
can
big
climb
boulder
over
and
a big boulder and get on the top and look around.
I mean, I would say use your best judgment. If it was, I wouldn't let 12 kids go up there at once. I would do it in a really safe way that you have structure around it. You're saying, this is how you, if you want to try to do this and not have it be over their level. Okay, thanks.
overtime and one other is dead animals.
Oh yeah, dead animals. So dead animals is also kind of a gray area. There's certain animals that are, if they're dead, they're potentially dangerous. And things like bats and rodents that carry rabies, you never want to touch them. And we actually had an incident in camp where a class found a dead bat and they were touching it with sticks, and the parent called us 6 months later because she saw a bat sign on at a park, and we had to deal with it. The kid had to go through a series, and actually Carrie had to go through a series of rabies shots. She wasn't sure if she touched it, but it's one of those things like if you have rabies, it's deadly. So we don't want to mess around. That said, if it was like a dead insect, I don't want to have a blanket rule that no dead animals can be touched. So, I mean, again, I would use your best judgment. If it's something that's decomposing and it's got bacteria on it, don't let the kids touch it. If it's a dead insect or a skin of a snake and it's clean, like, I would say that's okay. That's why we're talking about these things, because they're a little gray.
It's also why you have soap in your first aid kit.
Yeah.
What about live animals? Like frogs, snakes, that kind of stuff?
We like to touch live animals.
Can we do bones this year? What if they don't have any like bones? They don't have any like skin or anything on it.
Bones.
Bones.
Yeah,
And last year
I would say not like if you thought it was a rodent or a bat. I would say no. If it was like a skull that was completely clean and it did kind of stuff, I mean, I might, if I was a teacher, I might do it and see if that's good enough. And definitely if kids touch it, then wash their hands up. But thanks. Next up is, it's actually called the body safety scenario. It's about the kid going to school.
All right, children, this is an at-home in the woods camp, and we're gonna go on a really big hike today. Oh yeah. Body safety scenario. You're part of an at-home in the woods camp, and you have a group of campers that are really into hiking. So you decide to go on a hefty hike down the trail. Demonstrate or talk through an activity that will keep campers entertained while hiking, while moving them along so we can all learn. You're about 1 mile up the trail, and one of the campers whispers to you that he or she has to chase a bear or go poop. And they have to go now. You don't have a TA, and you and you haven't seen another group for a while. What do you do? All right, campers, this is the At Home in the Woods, and we're going to go on a really big hike today because I know how much you all like hiking. It's going to be really exciting. And we're also going to practice playing with some scout skills today and learn how animals hike in the woods. So, while we're hiking along the trail, if I make this noise, you guys are going to quickly jump off trail and find a place to hide, like this. And I'm going to open my eyes, and I'm going to look and see if I can see you. Okay? All right. All right, so let's start hiking. Slow. Everybody check out the fox on that ridge. Wow. That's so cool. All right. Man, these are some good hiding places. I see one of you over there. And one of you over there. But everybody else, great job at hiding. That was a great one. Good job, everybody. All right. Let's go back to hiking. Yeah.
I have to chase a bear.
You have to chase a bear.
Now.
Right now.
Now.
Okay.
What should I do?
Okay. Could you come over here? Let's chase the bear. She has to chase the bear. Would you be able to go with her? And do you know you have to dig a hole and go in it? And I have this bag. And since we're leaving no trace, if you could put the toilet paper in one of these plastic bags, that would be great. And don't forget to stay within shouting distance. Hey, I'm chasing the bear. Are you okay? Wait a minute. What happened?
Can I give this back to you?
I'll take that back. Stuff it in my backpack over here. What happened?
It hurts. I think there was a cactus.
Oh, that's a good point. we should have probably made sure everybody knew to look for prickly pears. And also poison ivy.
What does that look like?
Well, let me fill out this field guide since I don't see any handy. This is what prickly pears look like.
See?
And this is poison ivy.
There's one. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Right there. Now I see it.
Woo!
Discuss. Amongst yourselves.
go to Feather Burkhauer's training this year, and I heard a lot all about what happens at camp when children are at camp, and I was very happy to see that you did not have my child go off and poop by themselves, because that would not be safe, or that you didn't have an instructor there because that would be indecent, and that you had another child there just to make sure that nobody was going to get hurt and no one was embarrassed, and they'll be prepared when we go on our next camping trip, which is hiking across Colorado while camping. Thank you.
I'm so good at chasing bears, so I had some really great time. Thank you for giving me the task to go with the child that needed to chase a bear, because I really was able to make them feel really comfortable.
I was really worried about leaving my friends, and everyone else is kind of hiking along. So I wasn't really sure kind of what to do during that time. So maybe we could have stopped and had like a sitting down activity while we were waiting for them. Because I was unsure.
Definitely good to dig cat holes. We've had some issues in the past with the cat holes not being very deep, especially the kids. They don't really know what 6 inches looks like all the time. And the toilet paper grosses them out, and even in Chautauqua, we've seen some toilet paper by the trees because they're scared to put it in the bag. So just make sure that that's taken care of, folks.
They did it. That was awesome.
I think that you guys did a nice job, and with going to the bathroom in the woods, one really important thing to remember is some of these kids, especially at our scholarship schools, maybe haven't even been for a hike with their families before, so really like making them feel comfortable addressing the emotional piece of it, that it might be kind of scary, but really reframing it like it's an adventure. Our instructor Edwin has this awesome system of stars or points for going to the bathroom in the woods. So if you're able to go to the bathroom in the woods and you successfully do that, it's 1 point or star. If you go to the bathroom in the woods and you have a really beautiful view, 2 points. If you go to the bathroom in the woods, you have a really beautiful view and you see an animal doing the same thing that you're doing, 3. Another thing to add is to really utilize the field coordinator and the field staff, the field assistants who will be out there. You can call on the radio and say, hey, I'm here, I don't have a TA. Can you come hang out with my group while I go help these campers? And we are usually available, and even if you're a mile out, we might be 3/4 of a mile out. So just check in, it doesn't hurt.
So the point of this whole scenario, more than even dealing with a kid having to go poop, which will come up in your camp probably, is, and I think we got that covered with the Leave No Trace principles, but the big thing is this body safety, which is this lady Feather Burkhauer is in our community and trying to talk to as many parents as she can about body safety and how to keep kids safe from sexual abuse. And so parents are asking these questions, which is great. It's actually brought it to our attention, and it's part of our policies now. And really the thing to highlight is to not ever be alone with a camper. And it's tricky sometimes in cases like this where you're the only teacher and you have a group of kids. So in that circumstance, I would say make sure that you are still in eyesight and hearing distance of your group. And if you have to be the one that takes the kid to go to the bathroom, that you bring another kid with you, so that you're never in a situation where you're alone with a child, either in a bathroom or a tent, or even where you just can't see, the other kids can't see you. And that's really for your safety too. We don't want anything to come back to having you guys be questioned around that. So that's the big thing with that, is just it's around body safety. We have some other kind of policies that go along with this. For example, race, well, just, yeah, general, like, safety of nature. But, yeah, so I'd say definitely use your best judgment on that sort of thing. What were you gonna say, Erica?
But it's
Like 100 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't even know what the number is, and I think it is.
I think it's 10 yards.
Yeah, you don't wanna be anywhere near a body of water, especially if you're chasing a bear. Yep.
So we don't have like a shovel and toilet paper in our backpacks, right? We have to radio the field assistant to bring that to us.
You guys have tissue paper and gloves, right? And a Ziploc? There's gloves. Is there tissue paper in it?
Yeah.
There's Kleenex.
Oh, Kleenex, yeah.
Kleenex.
So no like travel.
I would, you know, that's something actually I was gonna look into. It's really expensive to have that many. But, so when I've had to do it, I've used a stick and dug down with it. And then the field assistants have one, right? I met somebody that made these like ultralight, tiny, like super strong ones. And I was gonna talk to Glenn about
We
that.
could even get like cheap like aluminum tent stakes that are the like flatter ones,
Yeah.
and that wouldn't be so bad. We could, I'm
We'll,
sure.
we'll look into it. We'll look into
Yeah,
it.
because the stick
Maybe
isn't.
that hole with a stick.
Yeah, it's hard to.
And if you're close enough to a bathroom, hopefully all the sites have bathrooms. So hopefully most of the time that's a reasonable option, especially if you're doing a good job as an instructor, being like, we're about to go out for a while. Does anyone need the bathroom? And emphasize that and remind them of those things. But still, probably it's gonna happen.
And another option for that is calling one of the field coordinators, field assistant, and just calling us in, and we can bring the kid back to the bathroom if it's not too far.
Can you be alone with a kid?
You know, usually we're out hiking on the trail and we're visible, but that's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, if you're, they would not be able to like go into a bathroom stall.
But they can hike
Like an
on the
enclosed
trail.
space.
They can hike in it, like as long as they're
I always
out in public.
ask them like pick a friend and come with me, and I'll take you guys to the bathroom, and so then we walk on the trail together, just so that
Yeah.
I
you
avoid that
it.
situation.
Yeah, that's definitely preferable, but there are gonna be times where, we have to separate a kid from the other group, but they'll still be visible, they won't be in enclosed space. Do you have a question, Robin?
Yes and no. I like can't tell if it's been answered or not, because I'm in thinking about Feather and her workshop and having the body safety rules, and there, I guess, what would you say to that student that is the partner for them to go into the woods with somebody else, because then there gets into the like, these are my private parts, no one else is supposed to see them, so then if you have that child that goes with to make sure that they're on the buddy system, do you preface that in any way as to what is like
I can answer.
appropriate?
So I like to tell the partner, I say, well, I always give a bathroom talk in the beginning of the camp anyway, so everything has already been covered, and when I cover that in the beginning and you can remind them when they go off, it's like, you're gonna have a buddy. Is your buddy's job to watch you go to the bathroom? No, your buddy's job is to stand nearby, so if you have a problem, they can call out to the instructors, and the kids seem to get it pretty well, so.
Yeah, we also have a rule around privacy.
Yeah.
Just making sure that people feel like they have their privacy. So I think in general, like to talk about going to the bathroom early on, not just right when they have to go now, but have it be part of your like, this is what we do at camp, and if it comes up, and have it be fun, like chasing a coyote is going pee, and chasing a bear is going poop, and having that talk and having some expectations around it. I mean, we don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable, but we also don't want to put ourselves in a situation that's unsafe. Yeah.
And to add to that piece too, one of the other things we talked about, because we actually did go to Feather's workshop, was the difference between normal, healthy, I'm 6 years old and I'm figuring out that I have bodies and I have parts, and like the 6-year-olds making out on the bus, or like kids have sexuality, and the kid on kid thing is something that we're not about at camp. Like that would be like, that's not something we want to do here. But you wouldn't be like, that's against the rules. You know, that's not, there's a difference between kids exploring being kids, and if they, for like, let's say they went out and like these are two girls and they like, or two boys or whatever, who cares? We're watching what was happening, and you don't want them to be uncomfortable, but like if they were like good buddies or whatever, and that was kind of what was happening, that's not against policy. That's something we're not encouraging, but it's not the same thing as like, what's the word for when grown-ups are being sexual predators? Yeah, you're not a sexual predator if you're 6 years old and you're 8 years old. If you are a grown-up or you're a TA, that's when you have these power differences. Kids exploring that is a different thing than when you have an adult in that situation. So that's why the kid can go, but you would never, never, never go as an adult or as a TA to be the bathroom buddy. That's really bad idea
If you had
for
to,
everyone.
though, could you go and dig the hole?
So that was going to be my next question, is if you had a TA, what would you say the best role for a TA would be?
I would, if I had a TA, I would have the TA do an activity with the group, and I would take the kid and another kid. If I needed to be out of eyesight completely, I would take 2 kids. If I could see my kids and have them be behind a tree and I know they're safe, I would go with them and help them dig a hole. So I guess a couple other things, and this one I knew was going to take a little bit longer because it's just one of those things that's like, you just kind of need to talk through it. I'm just going to say, so yeah, what Gwen was saying about, we do have a policy around like kids are exploring. We want to say this is inappropriate at camp, and then that's something that you would want to talk to Carrie about, and then she would talk to me, and it would be a conversation with their parents, like this happened at camp, and it definitely has.
An incident report or no?
I would fill out an incident report. Just if you can document things, it just keeps you safe. And then there's places that I've worked before where they have policies like you can't touch a kid, you can't hug a kid, you can't do all of these things, and we're not. I think that's why this is a little bit gray. I think it's okay to hug a kid. I mean, you're gonna be their nature hero, and they're gonna want to hug you. And if they do, I mean, I wouldn't go out and like start hugging kids, but if they come up and hug me, then I will hug them back. But there's also things that can be inappropriate. We had a kid last year, a teaching assistant, who was rubbing a kid's feet, like kind of weird, right? I mean, it's again, it's like best judgment. Like we're not saying do not touch kids. If they hug you, then you know, I think that's okay. But let them approach you, and we don't really want you to be like massaging them or rubbing their feet or that kind of thing. Even picking up kids, like they're not young enough to need that anymore.
Unless it's like an emergency
Unless it's an
situation, but we'll
emergency.
evaluate that.
Yeah. Unless it's an emergency, of course.
And with the hugs, you can do a side hug. Say like, oh, so happy to see you, let's do a side hug. Something like that just feels a little safer.
And if kids start being weird around you, like they start saying stuff to you, like I mean, I've had kids like touch me in weird ways, and they're just kind of exploring. But I'd say if that's happening, tell the field coordinator, tell me. Like I'll eventually find out and make sure they're like, that's inappropriate. You can't, you know, this is my body. You can't touch me that way. And just model those behaviors.
Is this the right time to say the reporting obligation or no?
We'll talk about that. Oh, with child abuse? Sure.
and sit down with the rest of the campers here, eh? All right, Jen, you don't have to listen to a word I say. That's cool, too. All right, today we are going to learn about the food chain and the delicate balance it plays in the ecosystem. Don't let her, please. All right, so the food chain, here we go. All right, pause. You've been here before. You've seen the situation. These campers are acting like a bunch of deranged ruffians. What should I do? Resume. All right, we're going to change it up a little bit. Instead of our normal planned talk, we're going to play a game that I learned while I was a roadie for the village people in the late 80s. It is called Mosquito, Bear, Trout.
Or bear, trout, mosquito. Either way.
Mary will explain it for us.
All right, I need everybody to stand up. All right, so this game is called Bear, Trout, Mosquito, and it's about the food chain. And the first thing I want you guys to show me is how everyone can act like a bear. We're going to put our hands in the air and growl. All right, next thing is we're going to be really fast fish, and we're going to swim with our hands. We're trout. All right, now we're going to be blood-sucking mosquitoes, so get your little blood suckers out. Okay, the way this game works is we're going to have two of you over here. You guys are going to stand right here, and you two are going to come over and face them. So stand right across from your partner. There's going to be an imaginary line in the middle. And when we say to go, we're going to say bear, trout, mosquito. You're going to come up. You're going to turn back to back. We're going to demonstrate. Okay? And so one of the instructors will call out bear, trout, mosquito. And your job is, once we're done finished saying that, you turn around and you do one of those actions. So show me your bear. Show me your trout. Show me your mosquito. Okay, good job. All right, so we'll do it first. Now, here's the tricky part of the game. It's a running game. So you guys gotta be really safe. Okay? We're in a little bit of an open area. Look at Jen's got so much energy to get out. She's gonna run so fast. So everybody look around them, and everybody tell me one thing they see that might, be dangerous for a running game. There's a rock. Yeah. You might trip on that rock. Okay, anything else you see that might be dangerous for a running game? Anybody?
No, I can just run fast.
Yeah, I run fast. So I know you have a lot of energy to get out. You gotta look around, make sure you're aware of your surroundings and your body. So there might be prickly pear, there might be some plants we want to avoid. So really check around you. There may even be some uneven ground that you could roll your ankle on. So make sure when you're running around, we sort of scouted this area out first, and so we know that it's gonna be relatively safe, but still want you guys to be aware. So once you say bear, trout, mosquito, you turn around and you do one of those actions. Bear eats trout, trout eats mosquito, this one, and mosquito comes back and gets the bear. Now, if I turn around and do bear and he does trout, I'm gonna chase him to his side. If I tag him before he gets to his side, he's on my team, okay? So that's sort of the abbreviated instructions. I can tell more later. So we'll do one example. All right, bear, trout, mosquito. All right, so he didn't get me, so that means that we're just still on the same side. So let's do one round with you guys. Ready? Okay. I'll come on up in line after I say bear, trout, mosquito. Think of what you're gonna be. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's do it again. All right. Bear, trout, mosquito.
I will get you.
Yeah, chase you.
By Joe!
All right.
Mary, are you watching the campers line?
Campers, come on over here. It looks like you need to deal with something real quick. We're gonna keep playing the game, and I'll play with you guys while they take
It's
care
gonna
of
be okay. I'm gonna take my backpack with my radio and everything I need for the first aid kit and take care of this. It's gonna be okay. It's not that bad. We're gonna get taken care of. I'm gonna also radio Carrie just to alert her of the situation. Carrie, come on in.
This is Carrie.
Hey. So we have a situation with a camper. She has a minor cut. It doesn't look like anything serious. I'm just gonna clean it up. I just want to give you a heads up.
So much.
Don't worry, you'll be okay.
Thank you. I'll be over in a minute.
Thank you. Oh, and we're gonna look at this too, because this gives me radio the instructor, which I did. First aid kit, you okay, Jen? We're gonna ease you back into the game. They're gonna keep playing. If you'd like, we could bring you over to the side. You can sit down, chill out a little bit. We'll just watch. But it looks like it's okay. Do you feel a little bit better?
Did you put a Band-Aid on it?
You're welcome. At the end of the day, we're gonna fill out some paperwork, and we'll make sure it's okay. Good.
So he consulted the, I don't know if it's called safety manual or policies and procedures. And it sort of depends on the severity of the gash. So a gash can be a pretty deep wound. She may or may not need to be removed from the situation. So we weren't really sure about that. And not everyone in our group has had first aid yet, so I don't know about the rest of you guys. But you'll learn about that in your first aid class as well.
And at this time, while you're discussing, you should stand up and stretch and move around for a second. And if you maybe need to pee for just one really fast pee second, move really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be quick, right?
Yes.
I would expect nothing less, but I didn't grab a t-shirt.